Next up, splash hit, as the Meg becomes a surprise late summer success.
That's right. The Jurassic Shark has taken a $400 million bite out of the global box offices.
Which means there's no better time than now for a special Rick and Rick movie review.
On the one show where everybody's name is Rick.
And everybody rules the world. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Did you see the news? They've rolled out both a wasabi flavored and a hot chicken wing flavored Oreo cookie.
What?
Yes. So
No, I didn't see this.
Oreo cookie and hot chicken wing flavored Oreo cookies. Now, that's out of got milk territory. That's just you actually taste these things and a lot of times they're just fine, but I'm like, my taste buds are like threatening violence. I'm talking a full-on insurrection of my salivary gland.
I think this is kind of an offshoot of this whole thing that's been going on lately where, there's the sweet and savory or the sweet and hot and da-da-da. And so I think they're trying to capitalize on that with Oreos, but frankly, yeah, I don't get this one. Now, I might be foolish enough to try it, but yeah, this one just sounds really weird to me.
Hot chicken wing Oreos. Now, my understanding is it will be very hard to get a hold of them because apparently these are for the Chinese market, not for the US, which makes sense, but hot chicken wing Oreos.
But how is the hot chicken wing Oreos an Asian thing?
I don't think it's like the buffalo wings like we do. I think it's that hot and spicy kind that you can get at a lot of Chinese restaurants. So, yeah.
Got it. That makes more sense because I'm thinking like what goes better with football, which is going to start pretty soon here, than chicken wing Oreos. I sent you an article earlier, and they were talking about Tom Holloway in the Avengers movie, the Infinity Stone movie. And if you remember, at the end, he has this really memorable set of lines, which, with Mr. Stark, I'm not feeling so well. Right. Well, the DVD has come out, and there is some commentary in the DVD that indicates that was indeed an improvised line.
Wow.
In fact, that whole segment, because the question was, hey, why did it take so long for Spider-Man to die compared to everybody else? Because it was all improvised.
Wait for it.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody else kind of froze, and then they faded away. Not Spider-Man. Spider-Man had this dialogue, and it's because it was such a great line. It was such a great acting. They decided to work with it and put it in there.
Imagine if he'd said, "I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark." Oh no, that did it. I'm good. So
that's awesome.
The blockbuster movie, The Meg. The numbers coming out are pretty damn impressive here. So I think as of today, The Meg has passed $411.5 million in global box office. This is a movie that was budgeted somewhere between 130 and 170 million bucks. So big hit. And you and I talked about this before the movie came out. It has like a 46% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But I saw this survey, I guess it's one of those Google surveys, that 91% of moviegoers said that they liked it despite those reviews. So sounds like you did. I did as well. As we have to say here, folks, spoiler alerts ahead. If you haven't seen the movie.
That's right. Spoiler alert.
Just to dial everyone in, this is director John, I think it's John Turteltaub is how you say his name, and he's the director behind the National Treasure series. And the Meg stars Jason Statham as Jonas Taylor. So Jonah is struggling to get his life back together following an escape from a submersible in some kind of a wreck, and he ended up having to leave some of the crew behind in order to save the few that he could. He insists that the disaster was caused by a megalodon. The megalodon being this 70 feet, 90 feet, whatever, but this giant great white shark believed to have been extinct for millions and millions of years. Still kind of checked out. I think he's in Vietnam, drinking beers or something when we see him first. He is forced to go confront that nightmare all over again when he's called to help save some scientists aboard another submersible, this one deep in the Marianas Trench. And he, falls in love with this marine scientist played by Bingbing Li. She's a scientist aboard this research vessel that has accidentally released the Meg into the open ocean. I won't go into how that happened, but Jonas ends up having to kill not one, but two Megs in a
Yeah.
rip-roaring adventure that really did have some genuine thrills and some nice touches.
It was Jason Statham, right? You expected it to be an action movie. You expected it to, be some opportunity for him to pull some crazy scenario where he flips a car, or in this case, a submarine over, and tries to like do something crazy. And he does. He doesn't let down. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't a different movie. It wasn't crazy. It was, some people kind of reference it as being kind of a reboot of the Jaws line. I could
Right.
see that argument, but it had its own material and it was interesting and it was fun.
Yeah.
And so as long as you go in with low expectations, you're going to have a fun time. I
Yep.
enjoyed it.
Yep. I don't know if you saw it in 3D, but my favorite scene was the scene where the Meg jumps onto or ends up over the boat. I would pay just to
Yes.
see that scene again.
Yeah, and that was you're right. You're right. In fact, there was a lot of scenes where I spent time trying to figure out where the special effects ended, where the practical effects began.
Yeah.
And honestly, they did a pretty good job, particularly for, it's not a low budget movie, it was a moderate budget movie, but the special effects, particularly with the shark swimming under the water and you can kind of see down through the layers, they actually did a very good job, and I was impressed with that. And that was definitely the case where the shark jumped out of the water to eat the other shark and kind of roll the boat with them, and that whole scene was absolutely fascinating, although probably pretty impractical. I mean, why would a shark jump out of the water to get
Yeah.
another shark?
Right.
But especially where there was whales and fish and everything else in the water. But it was still a lot of fun.
Okay, we are coming up on our first break here. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation of the Meg, the cast, and some of the great scenes in it. So hang tight. Okay, welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. We're talking about The Meg, the blockbuster summer surprise. Some of the reviews for the movie were kind of funny. I mean, it's one of those movies where it's been pretty much panned. And then as people actually go see the movie, like I said, 91% are saying they love it. A Rolling Stones review said, Meg isn't even worthy of your great white snark. Another one said that it was not good enough to really hold your interest and not bad enough to be fun. But, as of today, the Meg has sunk its teeth into enough box office that it has overtaken this year's Star Wars movie. So,
Are you serious? I didn't catch that.
yes. Now, not that Solo
Wow.
was a huge hit, but we're talking about the world's most popular movie franchise, and this first out the gate of a new franchise just kicked ass. So
But,
kudos to the makers.
it was probably also a timing thing. I mean, there's kind of nothing really out right now to
Yep.
compete with it.
Yep.
So, if you're going to go to the movie, it's a good one to go to. Plus, we haven't had anything like this in a while. And, if you think about it, movies come in cycles where, for a while we'll have some horror movies and we'll have some sci-fi movies and we'll have some romantic comedies. And maybe this is the time where we needed a monster movie because we haven't really had one in a while.
Yeah.
So, timing could have played into this. And then, to your point, I mean, the parallels between it and whether it's Jaws or something else were just huge, right? It really did at times feel like a reboot. And in fact, every scene where there was a boat, I kept waiting for somebody to say, I
We're
think
gonna
we're going
need
to
a
need a
bigger
bigger boat.
Yeah.
That's right.
Totally.
And to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed they didn't do a tongue in cheek on that. But
Yeah, right. That would have been funny if they did that. That would have been great. But I will say, obviously, and we've talked about this before, the technology couldn't be more different today than it was when Steven Spielberg was directing Jaws. But what I liked about moments in The Meg is the director, even despite all this technology, took the time in certain instances. He knew his instinct was build suspense here, don't show the shark every moment. And my favorite scenes were where he made it kind of first person through the character's eyes, like that scene where Statham is trying to tag the shark's fin with a transponder, and suddenly the Meg goes underwater and he doesn't know where it's at. So
right.
the director puts us in his eyes as he puts on his scuba mask, trying to look underwater to get it, see where the Meg is at. And then as that scene unfolds, he's succeeded. So some dummy on the boat, he's connected to a cord. They start reeling him back. And that's the wrong thing to do. And fortunately, Bing Bing Lee's character recognized, don't do that, but it was too late by that point, so they have to totally reel him in, and that's one of the best scenes in the movie as well, although I wasn't quite clear on how that cord pulled him all the way onto the boat without killing him, but it was still pretty fun.
Well, and they actually had a pretty good cast. I mean, of course, we talked about Jason Statham, right?
Yep.
Obviously, he's a big action star. You talked about Bing Bing. She's surprisingly older than I thought she was. She was born, what was it, 73 or something like
Oh,
that. So
wow.
she's almost our age.
Yeah.
But she's been an actress for quite some time. Has quite a bit of reputation, particularly in the overseas market. Rainn Wilson, right,
Yep.
who was from The Office, was in there. Ruby Rose, who was in Orange Is the New Black. I'm sure she's been in a ton of other stuff. I think she was a villain in the new John Wick movie, John Wick 2.
Oh.
And so, we ended up having, a number of really good actors and actresses.
Yeah, no, I agree. This cast was spectacular. I don't think there was a weak person in the entire movie. Even the little girl who plays Bing Bing's daughter was a highlight of the movie. She stole every scene
That's
she
true.
was in.
That's true. She was fantastic. It's always amazing when they get kid actors to come in here and they actually, carry their part and aren't distracting. She nailed it. So I was impressed with that.
And what's interesting, I didn't know this. So I read the first one. I think I read a couple of them. I don't think I read them all, but this was like early 90s, maybe mid 90s when it came out. And I thought at the time, God, this would be a really cool movie. And in fact, it had already been optioned for a movie before the book even came out. And apparently, at one point, Guillermo del Toro was attached to the film, which I would have loved to have seen what he would have done with the material.
Yeah.
But it kept having a situation where it was supposed to come out in the late 90s, and then that movie Deep Blue Sea came out, which is very
Right.
similar. And so that kind of took the thunder out. It kind of fell apart. And then at one point, Jan de Bont, the director and I think cinematographer of The Hunt for Red October, was attached to it. And Eli Roth was attached to it at one point. He's a big horror movie director, the Hostel series and The Last Exorcism and others. So what I didn't know is that online, this series is a big thing. It has a huge fan following that Alton has been sort of nurturing all these years. And so a lot of observers said that opening weekend that it did so well was probably driven mostly from these fans that have been waiting 20 years for this movie to come out. And then the word of mouth and the people they brought along, obviously, either they've been going over and over and over again, or they've enlisted a bunch of new fans for this series. So pretty amazing backstory.
But again, I keep coming back to the same thing. There's not a lot of competition right now. There's no other really big blockbusters that are out. It's fun and it's different, right? Because we've had the superhero. We've talked about this, right? Have we reached superhero fatigue? We've had the superhero movies over and over again. We had the Star Wars movies over and over again. Here's something that stands out a little different, right? We've even had recently a ton of the horror movies, or at least the fright movies.
Yep.
So here's something that's a little bit different. That frankly has got Jason Statham, so maybe the girlfriend wants to go, the wife wants to go with you too.
Right.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yep. We're going to come up on our next break here. When we come back, I don't want you to look ahead here. Don't cheat. I have some trivia questions about this year's box office, so stay tuned. All right, we are back on Rick and Rick Rule the World. If you think about it, the Meg serves as kind of a bookend to what has been just a blockbuster summer movie season that was kind of kickstarted by Avengers Infinity War, which actually came out in April. The beginning of the movie season gets earlier and earlier every year. But so far, at least, the official summer movie season, which is defined as the first Friday in May through Labor Day weekend, as we tape this show, we're heading into Labor Day weekend. So far, the box office has amassed more than $3.7 billion in ticket sales, according to Box Office Mojo. Now, I have some questions for you. Let's test to see how well we're keeping track of the box office this summer. So I have 5 questions for you. Loaded questions. Question number 1. The number 1 movie of the summer was A, Deadpool 2, B, Incredibles 2, C, Solo's A Star Wars Flop, or D, The Spy Who Dumped Me. Which of these is the number 1 movie for the summer?
I would have to guess that it was Deadpool.
Oh, very good guess. I think I would have guessed that as well. You know what the number 1 movie of the summer is? Incredibles 2. So B,
Nice.
Incredibles 2. I didn't know that. Okay, question number 2. How many movies do you think came out this summer? A, 120, B, 491, C, too many movies for MoviePass, D, 214, or E, both C and D?
I'm gonna go with D because I do think that it was too many for MoviePass because they obviously cracked. But I think it's a lot more than what people think it is. I'm always surprised when I see how many movies come out in a short period of time.
In that time frame for the summer movie season, there have been 214 movies in movie theaters. 214 movies just this summer.
Wow.
Number 3, where do you think The Meg ranks in the top 50 movies this summer? A, dead last, B, number 14, C, number 10, or D, number 7? Where do you think The Meg ranks in the top 50 movies this summer?
I'm going to say number 7. If it's generated 400 million, it's got to be towards the top.
Very good guess. It's actually number 10, which is impressive. So it is number 10, just behind Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, and ahead of Equalizer 2. So it is already, I mean, it's been out 3 weeks, and it is the number 10 movie for the summer so far. So it's kicking ass. Question number 4. What movie currently at number 12, and don't look, what movie currently at 12 could conceivably still push The Meg out of the top 10 before Labor Day weekend is over? A, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. B, Crazy Rich Asians. C, Hotel Transylvania. Or D, I Know Who Trump Did Last Summer.
I would guess Crazy Rich Asians because I keep hearing a lot of play on that in the last couple of weeks. That'd be just a pure guess.
Yep, bing, bing, bing. You nailed it. So that movie, tiny movie, independent movie, is already at number 12 for the summer. So Crazy Rich Asians, conceivably, with all the buzz it's building in the final weekend of summer, could very well usurp The Meg out of that top 10 spot. Though I gotta imagine last breath this summer, people are gonna want just mindless fun. Maybe Crazy Rich Asians is, I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, the last question. Go ahead.
I was just looking at this. So, to your point, the Meg, and this is just domestic box office, has done 106 million. Incredibles 2 is almost 600 million, almost 6x the box office. Yep. That's incredible. Yes. That's incredible.
Yep, pardon the pun. Okay, your last question here. So question number 5. What movie do you think comes in last out of the top 100 movies this summer? A, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. B, Two Men Went to War. C, Jason Mraz, Have It All the Movie. Or D, Disney's Christopher Robin.
Wow, I don't know 2 of those, so it'd be there was a Jason one. What was that one?
Jason Mraz, Have It All the Movie, or Two Men Went to War.
It's one of those 2 because I haven't heard of either one of those.
Yep, good deductive reasoning, but which do you guess?
What was the one about go to war? That one. We'll try that one.
Okay, so close. It was the Jason Mraz one. So Jason Mraz, Have It All the Movie was number 100 out of the top 100 in the box office.
And what is that? What is
that?
I
have no idea. It's got to be a concert movie of some kind or behind the scenes concert movie. Have no idea. Have no idea what Two Men Went to War was either. So
yeah, I mean, the ones that surprised me that were in the top 10 were Hotel Transylvania 3. I didn't expect that one.
Who knew?
Certainly Mamma Mia. I didn't see that one coming.
Loaded questions. So, bottom line, what grade would you give The Meg?
Oh, man. See, that's tough because I like bad movies. I love stupid action movies. So, I'd give it a B-. I think it was fun. It was a fun ride. There was, of course, the one scene where it harkened back to the Transporter 3. So if you remember back in the Transporter 3, I think it was the 3, there was a scene where he had a bomb on the bottom of the car, and he does this jump where he flips the car upside down and hooks the bomb that's on the bottom of the car on a crane, and then flips the car back over and drives away.
Right.
In the Meg, that scene was reenacted with a submarine, the personal submarine, where he's got like a broken bar sticking out the side of it, and he kind of does this spin thing and cuts the shark all the way down using this thing. It's kind of like, I recognize that scene, So anyways, I'd give it a B. I'd give it a B-. I think it's a fun movie. If you don't take it too serious, you're going to have a great time. What about you?
Yeah, I think closer to seeing it, I probably would put it at B-. Having had some distance from it, I'd put it at a solid C, only because I kind of feel I don't ever really need to see it again. And in fact, that scene is partially responsible for it, only because I was unable to suspend my disbelief in the final moments when he takes out the Meg, just because the Meg was exceedingly docile for having its stomach cut open and him holding on to the side of the shark's head by stabbing it and then just sitting there without shaking its head violently while he shoves a pole through his eyeball. That kind of hurt the movie for me. But you're right. I think overall it's fun. I think Closer I would have given it a B. At a distance now, I give it a C. Okay, so I think that's going to wrap it up for our special Rick and Rick review of The Meg. Thank you, Rick Wooten, and thank you, Rick and Rick Nation, for listening. Be sure to check us out at rickandrick.com, where you get double the Rick with just one click. And join us next time for the one show where everybody's name is Rick and everybody rules the world.
Thanks so much, everyone.